Hello, it's Hump Day, it's Wednesday, and welcome back to another episode of Planet Zoo. If you like rocks, and if you like placing down items in a very monotone way, this is your episode. Don't click away, it is a lot of popping down. You've seen from the thumbnail, we are doing, mainly today, one big rock. I gotta say it the way it is. We are just building one big rock, but I think it's quite interesting to follow. I watched the episode already, and to see if the footage is okay and stuff. I found it super satisfying to see, and for those of you who've been in the Twitch stream, yes, I do stream very regularly on Twitch, and if you do want to join me, there is a link in the description down below where you can join this Twitch program, whatever it's called. You can join there. But anyways, this is about the half dome in Yosemite. Now, today's episode will be a lot about, making this look very gorgeous in the far back of the park. So this should be the star of the show. You will also get some really nice glory shots. Also, by the way, if you want to follow more of this content over here on this channel, I just recognized lately that people do not know I also have a Let's Play series going on at this point in time, and also got some movie habitat series going on. So this is also on my channel. Just have a look, and if you like it over here, you know the drill. You can just subscribe and stay with us. Anyways, in today's episode, we are going to talk about the half dome as such in the real world, because I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding here. I made already an episode of Yosemite Valley on a kind of half dome, and I made the lemur dome a half dome. Well, and here's the thing. It's kind of a little bit of a wordplay, if you will, but the half dome just in general means half dome, it's like a spherical item that is cut in half and it creates a half dome. So per definition, a half dome is just something cut in half. Okay, so it could mean anything, but in the context of Yosemite Valley, I gotta admit that the half dome has a very specific meaning. And when I did the episode on the lemur dome, I had in mind already the half dome. Actually, the placement of this half dome of the lemurs was already made with this thing in mind, so that it was placed in a way that it has already the positioning to be very much in front of the half dome. So if you're standing right in front of the lemur habitat and you peek over the dome, like the structure of the habitat, you can actually see the actual half dome. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Yosemite Valley in the United States, the Yosemite Valley is a national park, basically the Yosemite National Park, if you will, that whole area in California, and it has a lot of gorgeous things to look at, gorgeous landscapes and gorgeous mountains, and one of those things is the half dome, which is a gigantic rock formation that looks like ultimately a half dome, which is why it has been given this name. And so it looks very cool because it's kind of over the years it kind of got created in that kind of way that it's almost like perfectly cut in half. It looks really gorgeous in real life. And whatever I did here in Planet Zoo, I did not really pay tribute in the way I wanted it to the real life one. So I wanted to really create that one in a way that it resembles the beauty of the real life one. Now, the biggest issue is that as gorgeous as great the tools in Planet Zoo are, like the landscaping tools are phenomenal. I love them. So this is one of the things in Planet Zoo I do not have a single complaint about the tools. They are insanely powerful. Also, to be honest, like we talk a lot about performance issues, but when we talk about the landscaping tool, it is insane how well it performs. Yes, it has some lag, but you are creating actual voxels in milliseconds. You're creating some very crazy structures in a very simple way with a very simple and intuitive tool. And I gotta say, if you compare that with a lot of different games from that genre, it is one of a kind. There's nothing in comparison. Now, I have to say, this is insane. The one thing I do not like about that is the texture tool. Now, I do know why they did this and why they went for a decision that they made for having some way more detailed textures when you're up close, because this game is also meant to be looked at from up close. And so if you have the animals on a very washed out texture, that will look very stupid. But effectively, that means that the texture is has a lot of detail the closer you get. So it's very high definition, but it also is super repetitive the further you get away and the bigger the areas are that you're looking at. So what I needed to create here, as you can see, is a mixture of the landscaping tool and the actual rocks in game. Even though the rocks are big, if you like, the rocks are huge if you see them in the context of a building or of people or of animals. They are huge, like actual rocks, but if you see them in the context of nature and of a mountain, they become very small in comparison. Now this really led to kind of a big issue here that I needed to come up with and kind of find a solution for it. And I tried to blend this in as much as possible with the mountain. Now, a lot of problems that came along the way. For one is that the texture. The texture is one thing that I already mentioned, but it also is a certain kind of a brightness level. So each and every different biome in Planet Zoo has its own texture, and so the rocks do blend in. So for example, we are in I think it's the taiga. No, I think maybe it's the taiga or I think it's taiga North America, but I'm not exactly sure if it's taiga or tundra. However, the texture that we are using here for rock is a very bright one. So if you go to tropical, you have a darker one, and if you go to other ones, you know, they get darker by the biome you are in. So that means not every rock will blend in nicely into the actual terrain paint tool, because it does not have the similar one. But each and every rock has the same color scape that the biome then it is from, you know. Okay, no, that was a bit confusing. So you have different rocks, they're from different biomes, and they do match the exact color and the exact texture of the actual landscaping tool, which is cool, because I love that they thought of it. It wasn't that the case in Planet Coaster, so I'm really happy they thought about that for this one. As you can see over here, I'm using one that blends in, and so this is a lot easier to use. But effectively, that means I had to come up with some creative solutions how to blend that in. And again, I'm not 100% happy with how it turned out, mainly because it seems almost like still being a bit too harsh. It still looks a bit repetitive and well, it does not look as natural as I would love to be looking. What is the English broken? English accent stopped working for a second here. So yeah, it's not as natural as I would have loved it to be. But again, this is something I cannot really do much more about, because I already tried to come up, you know, with a lot of creative solutions. As you can see, I was blending in the terrain ever so much. So just like smoothing it out a bit more, having the actual terrain peek through a little bit, like using the trick that Mike Sheets basically invented, or kind of at least brought to a level of detail, which is just kind of unmatched up to this point. It's really cool how he's using that. So I was trying to repeat that technology, that technique in my park here but it's just so hard to create this kind of natural look when you don't match the colors. So in a way, I thought, okay, maybe it would have been more clever to only use the same rock that we do have in this biome, so to only match the rocks and then just kind of create a new pattern out of it. But that wouldn't have paid tribute to the half dome as it is in Yosemite Valley, because it has some different colors in there. The erosion of the many decades, many centuries this formation has been created. It definitely deserves a bit more attention on the different colors that it produces, and especially when the sun in the morning, you will see that in some glory shots at the end of this video, especially in the morning, it looks kind of phenomenal when the light just touches this rock face, and then you need some different variations of color in there and not have it just like very boring in one color scope. It's not really that way. So yeah, I tried to come up with a bit more of color options, and I have to say I gotta love how it looks, at least for what I think is basically doable in the game. I think that is how you can put that. Anyhow, so I did a lot of wrong things in this video. I didn't do any interaction with you guys, so you guys can comment whatever you will, but there is no interaction, and I want to change that. So my question is, first of all, obviously, do you like what you're seeing? So that's the main thing. Do you like how this turned out? But the far more important question is, how do you like an episode where we are only doing like a rock face? I mean, it's not really that kind of thing you would expect, and it's not like you don't see an animal, you don't see anything else created than this huge freaking rock formation. But I say it's very, for me, it's very satisfying to watch, I have to say. and it gives me ideas already to do something else. However, I wanted to quickly tackle on last episode of Yosemite. I intentionally touched this kind of YouTube thing again to see how you guys react. And there's one thing I was super confused about, and this is that many people came up with actually commenting why I'm not doing like a more personal Let's Play series where I do explain in real time, because I said, yes, we do love the speed build, and you know, it's nice, but it would be nice to see how you tackle that in real time. And I was confused. Like, I was like, I have one running. The Kyoto Zoo is actually there and has some very irregular updates. So why do they not see that? And then it came to my mind that, you know, this is one thing I wanted to talk about for quite a while. I'm doing that quite short in here. If you are interested in kind of deep talk and stuff like that, I highly recommend to join my Discord. The link is in the description. We have a thread in there which is called Deep Talk, and it's insane what you guys are going to do in there. It's insane. Like, I created that one and it completely exploded. A lot of great theories, like perception of reality and stuff. So really interesting. If you want to join that, I can highly recommend to do this by clicking the link in the description. But I think this one thing is living in your own bubble is kind of a thing on YouTube, but especially in the internet, that became a very important thing in the last couple of years, I guess. So it's really crazy that people that seem to have like a certain interest that has been shaped by the algorithms, but also by your personal preferences, even though you follow one person, the algorithm decides for you what you may think you do like. So even though you follow one person already, it may never actually show you something different because it thinks that you don't like it. So it rather favors the creator that you are following. It more favors the content that he is producing, especially for you, which is a very interesting knowledge for me, if you ask me, because I know that it doesn't really matter that people in that kind of way follow me or do not follow me in terms of how they receive my content. I still have to somehow reach them as if they would be new people that I need to reach by giving them some kind of content that the algorithm thinks is suitable for them. Which for me is crazy, because that somehow explains also why new games and different games on a channel have sometimes such a low interest, and sometimes have such a huge boost out of nowhere. So I think it's less about the fact how your subs are shaped in a way. I think it's more like if the content you produce is suitable for the algorithm to be also displayed for the subs you already have. So it's very interesting to think about these bubbles in the internet you're living in. So I just wanted to quickly tackle on it. Anyways, you now get some beauty shots. I want to say thank you for watching my content. Thank you for being part of this awesome journey. And I really hope that I can make your day a bit nicer. And I hope you have a good week. So what are your plans for the rest of your week? Tell me in the comments down below. I'm going to see you on Saturday again with the next episode. Until then, have a good week, everyone. Survive the hump day. It's over soon, you know. And yeah, see you next one. Have a wonderful time, guys. And bye. Alrighty guys, thank you for watching this video. I really do appreciate that. As always, make sure to check out also my social media channels. You can find me everywhere under @RudyRunCamel. Also, big thanks to the crew. You can see it on the left hand side right now. And as always, if you want to see more, you click that card on the top right. And if you want to stick around because you like the stuff you've just saw, whatever, you know what I mean, just click that sub button, which is to the bottom right of the screen right now. But everything else I can say is have a great time and see you next time. Bye guys.
Yeah.